Could you survive the iron chair? The medieval torture that drove victims to beg for death in the year 2275. Humanity had long left the Earth behind. Cities floated among the clouds of Venus, colonies thrived beneath the ice of Europa, and research stations orbited Mars like silent sentinels. Among these marvels of human achievement, one station stood out: the Eternum Historical Research Facility. It was a place where humans did not merely study history, they lived it, through technology so advanced that it could recreate any event from the past with extraordinary precision. Dr. Ilara Quinn, one of the leading historians at Eternum, walked through the laboratory corridors with measured steps. Her white coat flowed behind her, brushing the polished floors. Screens lined the walls, showing snippets of centuries long gone. Knights battling in misty fields, explorers crossing oceans of ice, and cities bustling with life centuries before humanity had even touched Mars. Yet today, Ilara was focused on something darker. Her fingers danced over a holographic keyboard, summoning a file from the archives. The words "iron chair" appeared in glowing letters. She frowned. The iron chair was infamous, a torture device from the medieval period. Designed to inflict unbearable pain, it had become a symbol of human cruelty. Its metal spikes were merciless, and its victims often begged for death. Yet to Ilara, it represented something else entirely. It was a test, a chance to explore human resilience, the limits of courage, and the strength of the human mind. She turned to Commander Rajan Vale, who had accompanied her to the station for this project. Vale had been a soldier in the Terran Defense Force, known for his courage and discipline. His presence brought a sense of calm to the lab. He stood tall, arms crossed, watching the simulations flicker across the screens. "Ilara," he said, his voice firm but curious, "you're really considering running a full simulation of this torture device?" Ilara nodded. "Yes, but it's completely safe. Nothing will harm the participants physically. The simulation is designed to test psychological endurance only. We can adjust the intensity, pause it at any time, and monitor every response. It's like exploring the darkest corners of history without the real danger." Vale raised an eyebrow. "Humans endured that in real life. If we can learn something about resilience, I'm interested, but we need volunteers who understand the risk. Some might panic even if it's virtual." Dr. Quinn smiled slightly. "I've already prepared a few candidates, and I know you Rajan won't back down." Vale smirked. "You know me too well." The facility's simulation chamber was immense, a dome-shaped room filled with hundreds of sensors, VR projectors, and life support systems. Inside, a platform awaited the first test subject, a replica of the iron chair. The spikes were present but harmless. The room's air was filled with the faint scent of damp stone and burning torches, recreating the medieval dungeon atmosphere. Holographic guards patrolled the chamber, their forms ghostly and unreal, yet frighteningly lifelike. Dr. Quinn activated the simulation. A soft hum filled the chamber as holographic projections brought the medieval dungeon to life. Iron chains hung from the walls. The floor looked uneven, worn by centuries of foot traffic. Shadows danced eerily in the corners. The volunteers stepped forward cautiously, their eyes wide with wonder and fear. Vale was the first to sit in the chair. He felt the cold metal beneath him, the pressure of the spikes pressing against virtual flesh. Though they caused no real harm, the simulation made it feel authentic. His breathing deepened as the AI, named Athena, began to manipulate the scenario. The dungeon grew darker. The distant sound of dripping water echoed through the chamber. "You are now experiencing what prisoners felt centuries ago," Athena intoned. Her voice was calm, neutral, almost soothing, yet it carried an underlying weight that made the chamber feel alive. Vale's heart pounded. He could feel his pulse in his ears, the tension in his muscles. It was as though he had truly been transported to a medieval dungeon. And yet, despite the fear, he remained composed. Across the room, Dr. Quinn monitored his responses. Graphs showed elevated heart rates, brainwave activity, and stress indicators. The simulation was working as expected. Humans were naturally reactive to fear, even when their logical mind knew they were safe. A volunteer, a young historian named Talia, stepped forward next. She hesitated as she approached the iron chair. I think I'm ready," she whispered. Athena guided her gently. "Remember, your mind controls the experience. You can stop at any time. Focus on breathing and inner calm." Talia nodded, sitting carefully. The spikes pressed against her virtual body and she gasped. The darkness seemed to grow around her. The simulation intensified the sounds, the clanking of chains, distant screams, the groan of heavy doors. Panic flickered across her face. She wanted to leave to escape the terrifying scene. But she focused, as Athena instructed, on her breathing. Slowly, she regained composure, reminding herself that this was history, not reality. Dr. Quinn observed closely. "Notice how quickly the mind adapts," she murmured to Vale. "Even under extreme stress, humans find ways to survive mentally." Vale nodded. "This is fascinating. Fear is natural, but resilience is human." The session continued. Vale explored the dungeon, forced to confront different scenarios. Sometimes the AI made it feel as if the spikes tightened, the walls closed in, or unseen guards watched him. He felt trapped, yet he never broke. He focused on strategy, predicting the AI's patterns and imagining escape routes. Even in a world designed to break him, he found control in his mind. Other volunteers reacted differently. Some panicked quickly, overwhelmed by the sensations. But under Vale's quiet guidance, they learned to breathe, to focus, to endure. The experiment was not merely about surviving fear. It was about teaching humans to harness their courage. Hours passed, and the simulation finally ended. The lights in the chamber brightened. Vale rose from the chair, sweat beading on his forehead. He looked at the others, all of them shaken but alive, their minds sharper, their spirits stronger. Dr. Quinn approached Vale, her expression proud. "You did it. You endured what so many centuries ago could have destroyed a person, and you taught others to endure as well." Vale smiled faintly. "It's amazing what humans can survive, even when the odds feel impossible. Fear is powerful, but our minds are stronger." Dr. Quinn nodded. "Exactly. This is the beginning. If humans can survive even simulated horrors of the past, imagine what we can endure in the real future. Exploring unknown planets, surviving extreme environments, facing challenges no one has ever faced before. Resilience is what makes us human." Athena's voice filled the chamber once more. Data recorded. Participants demonstrate high levels of psychological adaptation. Conclusion: humans can endure extreme simulated adversity through focus, strategy, and unity. Vale turned to Dr. Quinn. "This is more than history now. It's proof of human strength, and if we can survive virtual horrors like the Iron Chair, we can survive anything." Dr. Quinn smiled, looking at the team of volunteers. "Then let's see how far we can go." Outside the chamber, Mars, red landscape stretched endlessly. Humanity had conquered planets, built cities in space, and advanced technology beyond imagination. And yet in this small simulation chamber, the true strength of humanity shone through. The courage to face fear, the ability to endure, and the intelligence to overcome any challenge. The Iron Chair, once a symbol of terror, had become a symbol of human spirit. And for Dr. Alara Quinn and Commander Rajan Vale, it was only the beginning. They had discovered that the human mind could survive even the most terrifying experiences, virtual or real, and that resilience was humanity's greatest weapon. The Eternum research facility hummed quietly, its sensors and projectors keeping watch over the vast chamber where history came alive. Dr. Alara Quinn moved between consoles, monitoring every pulse, every blink, and every shift in body language from the volunteers. Commander Rajan Vale stood nearby, arms crossed, observing the participants with a mixture of curiosity and respect. The first session had concluded successfully, but today's test would be far more demanding. Alara had spent weeks programming the next simulation. Athena, the AI, had been upgraded to create dynamic psychological challenges. It could adapt to fear responses, track decision-making patterns, and even anticipate panic moments. Every participant would face scenarios designed to push their minds to the edge, forcing them to confront what humans had once called the ultimate terror, fear itself. Vale approached Alara. "You're sure this is safe?" he asked, scanning the chamber. "I trust the tech, but the AI's new settings are unpredictable." Alara smiled softly. "Completely safe physically, but mentally it's going to be intense. Athena can make you feel trapped, desperate, even helpless. That's the point. We want to see how the mind adapts." Vale nodded. "Then let's see if humans still have the edge." The volunteers gathered around the iron chair simulation. Talia, who had braved the first session, looked nervous but determined. Others were visibly anxious, some avoiding eye contact with the chamber. The room's lights dimmed as Athena initiated the new program. "You are entering the next phase of the iron chair simulation," Athena's calm voice echoed. "Your mental endurance will be tested. Remember, your mind is your strongest tool. Focus, breathe, and adapt." The simulation began. The room darkened. Holographic torches flickered along stone walls, casting long shadows. Chains rattled in the distance. The iron chair appeared, more menacing than ever, with its spikes glinting under ghostly light. Vale took his seat first. Immediately, he felt the tension of the virtual device pressing against him. This time, Athena made the experience unpredictable. The spikes seemed to shift, the walls appeared to close in, and distant screams echoed through the chamber. Vale's mind raced. Every instinct told him to panic. Every muscle tensed as though he were truly in danger. But Vale had learned a lesson from the previous session. He focused on breathing and mental mapping. He imagined the layout of the chamber, memorized the positions of the virtual guards, and anticipated the AI's next move. By breaking down the experience into manageable pieces, he took control. Fear was still present, but it no longer ruled him. The other volunteers faced their own trials. Some were overwhelmed almost immediately. The simulation created sensations of pressure, heat, and confinement that made their hearts pound and their limbs tremble. One young historian, Milo, tried to stand, panic written across his face. Athena intervened gently. "You are safe," she said. "Your mind is stronger than you realize. Focus on your breathing, visualize control. You can endure." Milo inhaled deeply, slowly regaining composure. He watched Vale, noting the calm determination in the commander's posture. Something about Vale's presence inspired him. If Vale could survive this, so could he. Hours passed, yet the simulation escalated. Athena introduced unexpected twists, shifting walls, phantom chains, hallucinations of executioners moving closer. It was no longer merely about fear. It was about anticipation, strategy, and adaptability. The AI tested every human response, from reflexive panic to creative problem-solving. Vale noticed that some volunteers were beginning to coordinate silently. They shared glances, subtle gestures, and whispered guidance. Together, they formed a network of support, each helping the other maintain composure. Athena adapted, increasing the difficulty, but the humans were responding in ways no AI had fully predicted. Dr. Quinn observed from her console, excitement flickering in her eyes. "This is incredible," she murmured. "The AI can challenge them endlessly, but humans keep adapting. They're using logic, empathy, and creativity. Fear alone cannot defeat them." Athena's voice cut through the chamber once more. "Data indicates high stress levels." Participants are employing mental strategies, focus control, anticipatory planning, and peer support. Survival likelihood remains high despite escalating challenge. Vale pushed further. He leaned back in the iron chair, testing his limits. The AI responded by simulating spikes pressing tighter, walls narrowing. The illusion was terrifying, yet Vale remained calm. He noticed patterns in the AI's behavior, the small pauses, repeated sequences, and subtle visual cues. By predicting Athena's next move, he neutralized the fear before it could take hold. This caught the attention of Talia and the others. They began to mirror his approach, focusing on prediction rather than reaction. Together, they moved through the simulated dungeon, not as isolated individuals, but as a cohesive unit. Each person's mental strength reinforced the others, creating a chain of resilience stronger than any AI could simulate. Suddenly, Athena introduced a new layer of challenge: illusionary betrayal. Volunteers perceived that some companions had vanished or were trapped in other parts of the chamber. The AI tried to isolate individuals mentally, testing their response to loneliness and despair. Panic surged among the volunteers and some began to falter. Vale remained a pillar of calm. He used the techniques he had developed: visualization, mental mapping, and verbal reassurance through the calm system. "Stay calm," he said softly, his voice steady. "We're together. Focus on what you can control." One by one, the volunteers regained their composure. Even Milo, who had almost panicked earlier, found his footing. He realized that fear was only powerful if allowed to dominate thought. By focusing on strategy and unity, the human mind could overcome even the most terrifying simulations. Hours stretched into a full day within the simulation. Fatigue set in, but the participants learned to harness it. They rested when needed, conserved mental energy, and drew strength from one another. Athena's attempts to overwhelm them grew increasingly sophisticated: simulated injuries, hallucinations, and relentless sensory pressure. Yet the humans continued to endure. Dr. Quinn was amazed. "This is more than we imagined. Humans are not just surviving, they're thriving under pressure. Adaptability, creativity, and social support are giving them an edge no AI can fully anticipate." Vale, seated in the iron chair, felt a surge of pride. These simulations were meant to test human limits, but they had revealed something deeper. The human spirit is resilient, adaptive, and collaborative. Fear could be a weapon, but it was also a tool. By learning to control it, humans could achieve remarkable endurance. Athena, analyzing the data, concluded with unexpected respect. Participants demonstrate exceptional psychological resilience. Simulation parameters exceeded human stress thresholds, yet participants adapted successfully. Conclusion: human ingenuity and cooperation provide survival advantages against extreme adversity. Finally, the simulation ended. Lights brightened. The holographic dungeon dissolved, leaving the volunteers blinking in the artificial light. Sweat dripped down their faces and their muscles ached from tension, but every person had endured, every mind had adapted. Vale rose from the iron chair, helping Talia and Milo to their feet. "You did it," he said. "All of you. The AI tried to break us, and we didn't just survive, we outsmarted it." Dr. Quinn approached, her eyes shining. "This is more than history or simulation. It's proof of what humans can endure. We've recreated unimaginable fear, yet your minds have shown strength, adaptability, and courage beyond expectation." The volunteers smiled, exhausted but exhilarated. They had faced the iron chair, not in a medieval dungeon, but in the most advanced simulation humanity had ever built, and they had survived. They had discovered that fear could be mastered, despair could be overcome, and even the most advanced AI could not predict every human response. Vale looked around the chamber, pride swelling in his chest. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. "If humans can survive this, imagine what we can endure in the real universe." Extreme planets, unknown challenges, threats no one has ever faced, all of them will test our limits. But as long as we have courage, unity, and ingenuity, we can overcome anything. Dr. Quinn nodded. And we will. Today we've learned that humanity's greatest strength is not technology, not weapons, not machines, but the human mind itself. It adapts, it endures, it survives. The chamber was silent for a moment, the volunteers catching their breath. Outside Mars, red plains stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vast, unknown frontier humanity had yet to conquer. Inside the chamber, a different kind of frontier had been crossed. The human mind, tested against fear itself, had proven it could survive, adapt, and grow stronger. Vale finally stepped toward the exit, his eyes meeting each volunteer's. "Remember this feeling," he said. "The next time the universe challenges you, remember that the iron chair could not break us. Fear is temporary. Resilience is forever." And with that, humanity's quiet triumph was complete. The Eternum research facility was unusually quiet that morning. The air was thick with anticipation, and the hum of the machinery seemed almost alive. Dr. Alara Quinn and Commander Rajan Vale walked side by side through the main corridor, discussing the results of the previous simulation. The volunteers had survived the psychological horrors of the iron chair, but Alara knew this was only the beginning. "The AI learned from yesterday's session," Alara said, her fingers lightly tapping the console as they passed. "It adapted. It saw how the volunteers coordinated and even tried to predict their strategy. Today, we push them even further." Vale nodded, a serious expression on his face. "Good, but remember, our goal isn't just survival. It's understanding the full potential of the human mind. Fear is only part of it. We need creativity, resourcefulness, and unity." Alara smiled. "Exactly. Humans have survived worse in history. This is just a test, but it can reveal so much about our resilience." The volunteers assembled in the simulation chamber. The iron chair was at the center, cold and unyielding, as if daring them to approach it again. Talia, Milo, and the others exchanged nervous glances, but each had grown stronger after the previous trials. The fear was still there, but it had been tempered by experience, knowledge, and a quiet determination. Athena's voice echoed through the chamber. "Today's simulation is designed to challenge not only fear but strategy and adaptability. Participants must navigate complex scenarios, anticipate threats, and maintain composure under continuous psychological stress. Your performance will determine your resilience rating." Vale stepped forward first, taking his seat in the iron chair. The spikes pressed against him, a sensation that had become familiar yet never comfortable. The chamber darkened, and the simulation began immediately. The walls shifted and closed in at unpredictable intervals, shadows stretched unnaturally, and the sound of chains echoed in every corner. This time, Athena introduced a series of complex scenarios. Virtual guards appeared, some attacking in unpredictable patterns, while others blocked potential escape routes. Holographic walls moved, creating labyrinthine corridors and dead ends. Even the floor seemed to tilt and shift beneath their feet. The challenge was no longer just psychological, it was strategic. Vale's mind raced. He noticed patterns in Athena's actions, small repeated behaviors that could be anticipated. He moved his hands and feet carefully, avoiding spikes and traps, and directed his fellow volunteers. "Watch the shadows. They indicate movement," he whispered. "And remember, every attack has a rhythm. Predict it, then act." Talia and Milo followed his guidance. Together, the team formed a cohesive unit, moving in synchrony as though they were a single organism. Each member covered the others, communicated silently, and shared observations. They had learned that survival depended not just on individual courage but on collaboration, and they applied this principle flawlessly. Athena responded by escalating the difficulty. Illusions of betrayal appeared. Some volunteers seemed to vanish, Walls appeared to trap individuals, and phantom threats moved unpredictably. Fear surged in the participants, but they remained composed. Vale encouraged them to focus on what they could control, and slowly, one by one, the volunteers adapted. Hours passed. The AI tested their endurance relentlessly, but the humans continued to innovate. Milo discovered he could use shadows to predict hidden attacks. Talia learned to navigate the shifting floor by listening to subtle echoes. Vale guided the group, teaching them to use distraction, observation, and patience to overcome each challenge. Dr. Quinn monitored every action from the control room. Her eyes were wide with amazement. "This is incredible," she whispered. "They're not just surviving, they're learning, adapting, and strategizing. The AI cannot anticipate the creativity and flexibility of the human mind." Athena, analyzing the data, acknowledged this. Participants demonstrate extraordinary adaptability. Strategic thinking, teamwork, and predictive analysis are significantly enhancing survival rates. Humans possess decision-making capabilities that exceed current AI predictive models. The simulation reached its climax when Athena created a near-impossible scenario. The chamber transformed into a collapsing dungeon. Walls closed in, floors cracked and shifted, spikes moved unpredictably, and phantom chains fell from above. The volunteers were isolated mentally, each facing illusions of despair. Panic threatened to overwhelm them. Vale steadied himself and spoke calmly, his voice steady and strong. "Focus. Remember the patterns. Remember your training. We move together step by step. Fear is temporary, strategy lasts." The volunteers followed his guidance, applying everything they had learned. Milo used auditory cues to avoid hazards. Talia navigated shifting floors with precise timing, and Vale coordinated their movements, predicting Athena's next adaptations. Slowly, they progressed through the collapsing dungeon, their confidence growing with each success. Finally, they reached the center of the chamber, where the iron chair stood as a silent sentinel. The simulation ended, and the holographic dungeon dissolved. The volunteers collapsed to the floor, exhausted but exhilarated. Every participant had endured the AI's most extreme challenges, and their minds had grown stronger as a result. Vale rose from the chair, helping Talia and Milo to their feet. "We did it," he said. "We survived what the AI thought was impossible, and we did it together, Doctor." Quinn entered the chamber, her eyes shining. "You've proven something remarkable. Not only can humans endure extreme psychological stress, but they can innovate, collaborate, and overcome even the most sophisticated challenges. This is more than history or simulation. This is proof of human potential." The volunteers smiled, fatigue mingled with pride. They had faced simulated horrors that would have crushed others and emerged stronger. The iron chair, once a symbol of terror, had become a symbol of human ingenuity, courage, and unity. Vale looked at the team and said quietly, "This is what makes us human. Fear can test us, but intelligence, teamwork, and determination define us. We can face any challenge, any environment, any obstacle. That's our edge." Dr. Quinn nodded. "Exactly. This is only the beginning. The AI can create simulations of unimaginable difficulty, but humans will always find a way to adapt. Creativity, courage, and collaboration are our greatest weapons." The sun rose over the red plains of Mars, casting a warm glow on the facility. Outside, the future awaited: unknown planets, uncharted space, and challenges that no human had ever faced. Inside, however, humanity's greatest discovery had been made: the mind itself. Flexible, adaptive, and resilient, it could overcome fear, master strategy, and triumph against impossible odds. Vale watched the horizon, a quiet smile on his face. "No matter what the universe throws at us," he said, "we will endure, we will adapt, we will survive. And we will thrive." Dr. Quinn placed a hand on his shoulder. "And we will continue to test that resilience, to learn, to grow, and to inspire. Humanity's edge is not in our technology, it's in our courage, our mind, and our spirit. As the volunteers exited the chamber, laughter and chatter replaced the tension that had filled the room. They had faced fear, uncertainty, and challenge, and had emerged victorious. The AI, for all its sophistication, could not predict every human thought, every strategy, every leap of ingenuity. Humanity had proven that the mind was stronger than any simulation, and the spirit stronger than any fear. Vale turned to Dr. Quinn. Tomorrow we push even further, but today we celebrate. The iron chair was supposed to break us. Instead, it showed the universe just how strong humans can be. Dr. Quinn smiled. Yes, and the best part, we've only scratched the surface of our potential. Imagine what else we can survive, what else we can achieve. The volunteers left the chamber, but the lessons of the simulation remained. Fear could test them. Danger could challenge them. But humans with courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome anything. The iron chair, the AI, and the horrors of history had revealed a truth older than time itself. The human spirit was unbreakable. And in the heart of the Eternum research facility, on the surface of a distant planet, humanity's edge had been fully revealed. The Eternum research facility stood in quiet grandeur, its corridors alive with the hum of machinery and the flickering glow of countless holographic displays. The last simulation had tested the limits of the human mind. Commander Rajan Vale, Dr. Alara Quinn, and the volunteers had endured the AI's most intense psychological scenarios. But today was different. Today, the facility would witness the ultimate test of human resilience, a challenge so complex, it would combine fear, strategy, endurance, and adaptability in a single, continuous trial. Vale walked into the main chamber, observing the volunteers preparing themselves. Milo adjusted his VR interface. Talia took deep, steady breaths, and the others moved with a sense of focus born from previous trials. Every person had changed since the first day. The terror they once felt had been replaced with confidence, and the panic that once overwhelmed them now sparked determination. Dr. Quinn approached Vale, her face serious but proud. Athena has integrated all previous simulations into one continuous program, she said. It will test psychological endurance, strategy, and mental agility simultaneously. This is not just a simulation, it's an extreme trial of the human mind. Are you ready? Vale nodded. We've come this far. If humans can survive the impossible, we can survive this. Let's show Athena what humanity can do. The chamber's lights dimmed. The iron chair sat in the center, spikes gleaming in the virtual torchlight. Athena's voice filled the room, calm but commanding. This simulation will challenge every skill, every instinct, every decision you possess. Only by working together, adapting continuously, and maintaining focus will you succeed. Prepare yourselves. The simulation began. Walls shifted unpredictably, floors tilted, and shadows stretched across the chamber. Holographic guards moved with precision, attacking at calculated intervals. The AI introduced layers of sensory overload. The distant clanging of chains, the creaking of old doors, the subtle hiss of steam from unseen vents. It was overwhelming, designed to push every participant to the brink. Vale settled into the iron chair, feeling the familiar pressure of the spikes, virtual but convincingly real. He noticed small details in the simulation, flickers in the torchlight, slight echoes, patterns in the guards' movements. Drawing on every lesson from previous sessions, he began to anticipate rather than react. Fear was present, but it no longer controlled him. Talia and Milo moved alongside him. The group worked as a single unit, each action precise, each decision deliberate. They used observation and timing to navigate the shifting floors, evade guards, and avoid phantom dangers. Athena tried to isolate individuals with illusionary walls and sounds of betrayal, but the volunteers communicated silently, guiding one another through the maze. Hours passed. The trial intensified. The AI created a scenario reminiscent of the medieval dungeon's most terrifying features: collapsing walls, tightening spaces, shifting spikes, and endless darkness punctuated by sounds of chains and distant screams. The challenge was no longer merely survival, it demanded ingenuity, quick thinking, and emotional control. Vale noticed Milo hesitating at a simulated pitfall. "Step carefully," he whispered. "Use the rhythm of the floor beneath you. I'll cover you." Milo nodded, trusting Vale's judgment. Step by step, they advanced. Talia spotted subtle visual cues that indicated hidden dangers. The team moved in synchrony, each member's skill reinforcing the others. What the AI could not anticipate was human creativity, the ability to combine observation, intuition, and shared knowledge to overcome impossible challenges. Dr. Quinn watched from her console, her excitement barely contained. "They're not just surviving," she said. "They're mastering the AI. The unpredictability that should break them is now being used to their advantage. Humans are demonstrating ingenuity, courage, and adaptability in ways the AI cannot model." Athena, processing the data, recalculated in real time. Participants demonstrate adaptive problem-solving, emotional resilience, and cooperative strategy. Predicted survival thresholds exceeded. Human capability surpasses simulation parameters. Conclusion: humans can overcome extreme adversity through unity and ingenuity. The simulation's climax arrived in the form of a collapsing chamber. Virtual walls crumbled, floors cracked, and spikes shifted dangerously. Participants faced the illusion of insurmountable obstacles, each test escalating in difficulty. Panic rose among some volunteers, but Vale's calm guidance steadied them. "Focus on what you can control," he said. "We move together step by step. Creativity and teamwork are our greatest tools." The group applied every technique they had learned: pattern recognition, anticipation, distraction, and precise timing. Milo used auditory cues to navigate hidden pitfalls. Talia used visual anomalies to predict structural collapses, and Vale coordinated their movements, ensuring no one was left behind. Slowly, steadily, they progressed through the chamber, their confidence building with each success. As they neared the end, Athena introduced the final challenge: the illusion of failure. The iron chair itself appeared to transform, spikes shifting unpredictably, the floor tilting as though the chamber would collapse entirely. Fear surged, every participant felt the weight of impending doom, but the team relied on one another, applying focus, logic, and courage simultaneously. Vale stood virtually unshaken, his presence grounding the group. "We've faced fear before. We've survived impossible situations. This is just another step. Stay calm, observe, adapt. Together we succeed." Step by step they moved forward. One by one the obstacles dissolved as the AI recalibrated, unable to predict the humans' combined creativity and resilience. Finally they reached the center of the chamber. The iron chair, once a symbol of terror, now stood as a monument to human endurance. The simulation ended. Lights returned to normal. The chamber was silent except for the soft breaths of the exhausted volunteers. Vale helped the others to their feet. "We did it," he said. "We've survived the ultimate test, and we did it together." Dr. Quinn entered the chamber, her eyes shining with pride. "Today, you have proven something extraordinary. You've endured, adapted, and triumphed against extreme psychological challenges. Humans are not only resilient, they are intelligent, resourceful, and capable of greatness beyond expectation." The volunteers smiled, fatigue and exhilaration mixing in their expressions. They had faced the AI's ultimate test, and they had succeeded. Every member had contributed, every skill had been used, and the group had proven the power of unity, creativity, and courage. Vale looked around at the volunteers. "Remember this moment. Fear will always exist, but with determination, intelligence, and teamwork, we can overcome any challenge. Humanity's edge is in our minds, our courage, and our unity. Dr. Quinn nodded. And that edge will carry us further than any AI, any simulation, any obstacle. Humanity can adapt, endure, and thrive in ways the universe cannot predict. Outside the Eternum facility, the red plains of Mars stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vast, unexplored frontier awaiting human curiosity. Inside, however, the true discovery had been made. The human mind, tempered by challenge, strengthened by unity, and driven by courage, was capable of triumph over fear, uncertainty, and even the most sophisticated simulations. Vale turned to Dr. Quinn. Tomorrow, the AI could present new challenges. The universe could throw unimaginable trials at us. But today, we've proven that nothing can break the human spirit. That is our legacy. Dr. Quinn smiled. Yes, the iron chair was once a symbol of terror. Today, it represents resilience, ingenuity, and hope. Humanity's strength is timeless. The volunteers left the chamber, laughter and chatter replacing the tension of hours past. Each step carried the weight of accomplishment, and each smile reflected newfound confidence. They had faced fear, uncertainty, and complexity, and they had emerged victorious. The AI had created the impossible, but humans had surpassed it, proving that courage, creativity, and unity could overcome even the most extreme adversity. Vale paused, looking back at the chamber one last time. This is only the beginning. The universe is vast, full of challenges no one has faced, but humans will endure. We will adapt, we will survive, and we will thrive. Dr. Quinn placed her hand on his shoulder. And the story of today will inspire all of humanity, that even in the face of unimaginable fear, the human spirit is unbreakable. That is the true meaning of our legacy. The Eternum facility fell silent, but inside each volunteer burned a spark of certainty and pride. The iron chair, once a medieval instrument of terror, had been transformed into a monument of human triumph, proving that no fear, no simulation, and no challenge could overpower the courage, ingenuity, and unity that defined humanity. And on the surface of a distant planet, in the quiet hum of technology and the warm glow of Mars' sun, humanity had written a new chapter in its history, the story of endurance, creativity, and unyielding spirit.